Right, this afternoon I've got the great pleasure of talking to Adam Frost. We've known each other a few years, bumped into each other at a few bits and pieces. Your love of gardening goes back a long way, and you were very lucky to work with Jeff Hamilton for many, many years.
Was, mate, yeah. My love of gardening goes back to being about
nans
and granddads. But yeah, I got a job with Jeff when I was 21 years old. And actually, in reality, I think when I was 21, so did I really appreciate it at the time totally what I was experiencing? Probably not. But I was there for about 6-7 years until he passed away in 96.
I can't believe it's that long ago.
I know.
That's staggering.
Yeah, and I think realistically, he seems to have left me with a moral compass really when it comes to gardening.
Yeah.
What he was talking about, Peak Free, he was talking about.
Well, he was so ahead of his time.
Organics.
Yeah.
Organics. Stop putting up limestone pavements and destroying our countryside.
Yeah. And talking about the wildlife and natural history. And it was just in him to do that.
It was, and maybe that stuff was being, soaked into me, if you know what I mean, without necessarily being aware, because the way I garden now really is very much with that in mind. I garden for another generation. I garden with wildlife in mind.
And we are creating stuff that we're not necessarily going to see the benefits of, but the youngsters will. It's the same with planting a tree or whatever. But I go back to my days when I was at the garden centre, and we had rows and rows of chemicals for killing off everything under the sun. And it's so nice to see that things have just turned turtle.
I'm literally just talking about that. I said, as a 16-year-old, North Devon Parks Department, if we had any form of damping off on the 200,000 bed plants that we grew, I'd get sent in with Benelate, which was an old powder.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
In a talcum powder bottle. Go and put some of that over it, boy. Go and put some of that over it. Wow. And then obviously imagine rocking up with Jeff at 21, and even then he wasn't using chemicals. And we seem that to be getting that done, and I think
it's really lovely to see. Now, you've designed loads of gardens. You do your bit on Gardeners World. You absolutely love the trade and are a fantastic ambassador for it. And you do a lot of training as well, which a lot of people don't know, with your school that you've got running. And then you've got Rob and Rosie Hardy that you've been mates with for years and years and years. And they've laid on this stunning garden here at their nursery, which would have been at Chelsea Flower Show. It was their sort of little homage to saying goodbye to Chelsea Flower Show.
Yeah, I sort of, obviously I've just opened the garden, and actually in reality, I was sort of a bit sad really, thinking, she's not, I think it's not really real. She'll come back. My little head's doing that, Maybe it's hope rather than anything. And I know, I've known Rosie over the years has had this love-hate thing going on with it, because it is so stressful, and it's certain, if we have a bad, late spring, it can really...
My God, it's been bad this year, hasn't it?
But in reality, so I think she'll be missed.
Very much so.
As a couple, they're just incredible ambassadors for the industry.
They are.
They really are.
Real grafters.
And
the knowledge there is huge.
Yeah, there's a knowledge, but there's a passion. And they want to help. There's always a conversation to be had. There's always a smile.
There is.
Never really a moan.
No.
It's just they're wonderful, positive people to be around, and it's nice seeing how that they've evolved their nursery. From literally growing in our back garden and selling at car roof sales to this.
Well, I was at Board Hill Gardens a few weeks ago, and it was, I think, one of the first plant fairs that was open this year in 2021. That was after the COVID and stuff, and you could see the joy that they were getting talking to the customers were getting back from Rob, and the banter. and he's so good at it. And he winds them up, and he knows how to get the last sale out of each customer.
Yeah, he does. He's very. There's a charm about.
There is, yeah, very much so.
Slightly naughty one. But
A likeable rogue in almost a funny way.
Yeah, definitely.
No, well, we'll have to catch up with him and Rosie and have a little natter. What's happening with Chelsea in September?
Wow, so it's.
It's moved. It's weird because it should be this week.
Yeah, and interesting, I think for the designers, a completely new group of plants.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, mate, you're a gardener, all right? So you want to set up probably the most famous flower show in the world.
Yeah.
Would you set it up in May? Not really, would you? Not if you could get to do it.
Not with the
again.
weather that we've had the last few weeks, and what a cold
When
April.
you build a garden in May, it's hard work, because of not knowing quite where that season will be and whatever. So I think September will be interesting, completely new group of plants.
Yeah.
I think
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and people like us that go out and talk about gardens and teach it, then I think especially probably for new gardeners and also gardeners that tend to disengage when the kids go back to school, life takes over again, they more or less pack the garden up for the winter, and for them to see that actually September, October, even going into early November, the garden can be incredible.
And the seasons have got longer, haven't they? I know we've been messed up this spring, but the autumn now is really turning into a major part of the season. Even more so, we've seen it change the last 20 odd years.
Yeah, and I think environmentally, I think I'm writing a book at the moment, and this week I was talking to the editor and said, they want me to do a monthly, what to do. And I just said, I don't think you can do that anymore.
No.
She said, what do you mean? I said, I honestly, I think gardening has changed that much. It's more about you understanding the season that you're in.
And working with it,
And just working with it. And I think there's some little key points, parts in, sets us off in the year. I don't know, like I don't bother sowing much in the veg garden until the weeds come up.
Yeah.
I think there's those lovely little things that the old gardeners taught us that still hold our hand.
I think one of the best ones. The old gardeners used to drop their trousers and sit their bums on the wet, cold soil. If it felt wet and cold, it was too. But the easy one to do is just put your hand on the surface of the soil, or you can actually have a temperature probe.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I love those old gardeners. You either want to go, who made them up, or who was the first person to do it? Don't worry, lads, I've got this covered.
Down with the cats.
Everybody else is
no.
But yeah. It's one of the joys, I think, of gardening in a sense as well, isn't it? It's just not the doing, it's the memories and it's the past gardeners. And
it's family. It's what you've picked up from mums, dads, grandparents. I've got this lovely memory of my grandfather, my French grandfather, and he's literally with his bum in the air and he's bent over and he's pulling carrots or picking French beans. And that's been in there all my life.
My grandparents were my little sort of escape, from my childhood really. So I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, and the memories that I've got, taking cuttings from coleus and cactus with one man.
Coleus? They're no longer called that anymore, are they?
Coleus, painted metal. Exactly. That was I used to set up a little shop apparently outside our house and sell to all the old girls and old boys that come by. Yeah. But and then the early scent of cut grass, granddad's greenhouse, all that.
The smell. It's one of those things that is so underrated in the garden. And I think scent is one of those things that evokes so many memories, and it's just so important. It's just in the background there, and you just want that.
Yeah, I know, it's interesting.
We've just got a diesel smell come past.
The road, But I always talk when I'm talking about design, and actually, that it's one thing that applies to all our senses, tactile. If you can touch something, if something pulls you in, so you can feel that.
Look at this little thing.
Yeah, exactly. Planting stuff in the right place.
A good old box in the background, epimedium there.
So you engage with it.
Yeah. What do you think? How are things looking for the industry? Because with the lockdowns that we've had, massive interest in gardening. So hopefully we'll get some more people into the trade because we're desperate for it.
If there's, I think when we first went in before. It's over 12 months ago now.
Yeah.
There was a lot of nervous, scared people that were worried about losing. As long as they got through that first bit, and it seemed to go crackers. And the people that I was speaking to literally could not get stuff out the door quick enough.
No.
And it looks like, from what I understand, again talking to people, that it's pretty much picked up.
It's the same again. Some nurseries are having a job to get compost.
I know.
You know, the fencing materials, plants, seeds, whatever. You know, they're thin on the ground.
Yeah, you know, and so you think, well, actually, in the long term, it's got to be good, isn't it? You know, and I think it's how collectively now we make sure that we hold the interest of people, and I think that's a job for all of us that love it. You know, right from clowns like me that stand on telly to garden centres to nurseries.
Yeah.
Do you know what? For me, gardening's all about knowledge.
Yeah.
And all the nurseries
And passing it on.
and all the nurseries that I'll go back to that I love.
Yeah.
I don't just go back to the plants. I go back for the conversation.
The chat, the crack. Yeah.
You know, and I've got one near me, called Swine's Meadow. It was in Colin, and even during lockdown, I could go over there for work and pick stuff up, and I just follow Colin round for about half an hour. I don't think I even spoke. I just let him talk about plants and just sucked it up.
I couldn't agree more.
I think that's the joy, isn't it? And hopefully, out of all this madness, is that we've got more people that love it and want to play their part.
And the lovely thing is that you and I, even though we've been in the trade a long time, you never stop learning in this trade.
I always say that it's amazing. I mean, I went into horticulture because I was a naughty little toe rag that was dyslexic. And,
You? No.
and I was told that you could be a gardener, you could be a chef, or you could join the army. I then go into an industry. It's a lifetime of learning. I probably go in the ground only knowing about half of what I want to know. I don't know, but still as a gardener, you're in an environment like this today, the knowledge that's about it.
Yes.
You always feel slightly, I don't know enough.
Well,
and then you just go, actually, I know what I know, and it doesn't really matter. And
It's how you pass it on. Thank you for your time.
Lovely.
Cheers, Adam. And thanks for that. And passing on some information to the Silver Surfers community.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.